The last type of commas I want to cover that I think are absolutely essential are when you have to join two independent clauses together or when you're dealing with appositives. These are both cases something that usually happens with a more advanced writer. So let me go over them for a bit and explain the logic of it a bit. So when you're joining two independent clauses, you have to do a couple of things. You first must join them with a coordinating conjunction. A subordinating conjunction would turn one of them into a dependent clause, so you wouldn't be joining independent clauses any longer. So if you want both sides to kind of stand on equal footing, then you use a coordinating conjunction. And, but, or, so, or yet. These are coordinating conjunctions. To join them together, to join two things together, what you do is use a comma plus a coordinating conjunction. So in this case, the movie should be over by 10 p.m. That's an independent clause. It could stand alone. We can get a late dinner. That's an independent clause, and it could stand alone. If I want to join these together, I need to do two different things. I need to give the comma here after the first independent clause, and I also need a subordinating conjunction right there. So the movie should be over by 10 p.m., comma, so we can get a late dinner. That's how you use a comma when you're joining two independent clauses. Look at both sides. If both sides of it could stand alone, and you have an and, but, or, so, or yet, most often you have an and or a so, or often a but. You need the comma plus the conjunction. You don't need it if you have two short items, two words or just two phrases. But you do need it if you have two independent clauses. The comma plus the conjunction signals another subject and verb are coming up. Another subject and verb are coming up, so you must have the comma and the conjunction both, not just the conjunction. With appositives, well, these are less common. These aren't used very often by students unless they get to the higher levels and unless they want to attempt something a little more advanced in their writing. This is a characteristic of a more advanced writer. For example, if you look at the sentence, this one, the desert tortoise, a reptile that has existed for millions of years, may go extinct in our lifetime. Well, the main subject is the desert tortoise, and its verb is may go. That's the verb. So the subject is desert tortoise, the verb is may go. This entire noun phrase, a reptile that has existed for millions of years, that entire phrase is renaming the desert tortoise. Notice it does not begin with a subordinating conjunction or a relative pronoun. Instead, it is one long noun phrase with a relative clause attached to it. Really, it's a noun phrase because the reptile is the noun that holds it together. It does not begin with a subordinating conjunction or with a relative pronoun. Instead, it begins with the noun. This noun and this whole phrase renames the desert tortoise. That's what it does. So appositives rename a noun. Desert tortoise, a reptile that has existed for millions of years, that comma goes in the front and it goes at the end. And the appositive becomes something that you can lift out of the sentence, and it should work without the appositive. You put the appositive in there because you wanted to define that noun better than it was before. You wanted to give some more information about the desert tortoise that wasn't in there before. This is often used when you're dealing with concepts that may not be familiar with the reader, things that may not be familiar to the reader, or people that may not be familiar to the reader. You rename that person or that thing or that idea with an appositive, and it has commas at the front and the back. You always recognize that you can take it out and the sentence still works by itself. You still have the independent clause. So with appositives, commas at the front and at the back. With independent clauses, right before the conjunction and in between the two independent clauses. Thank you.